The Garden Grow Your Own series. This is actually the last of the 6 series class on growing your own vegetables, herbs, trees for 2024. We start back up with the next series in January for 2025. It'll be another 6 classes. It'll be right before the fruit tree sale in February. And of course, we have our fall vegetable and herb sale in October. So what you learn here today, you can apply by coming back up here in October and picking up some nice vegetables and herbs grown by our master gardeners right here in our master gardener greenhouse. So without further ado, I will announce our guest speaker. Today's speaker is Lauren Martin. And Lauren has been a Fort Bend master gardener since 2006. She is a member of the Master Gardener Help Desk team since 2015, and she helped implement the Fort Bend County Gel Female Gardening Program from 2017 to 2020. And she worked at Enchanted Gardens from 2015 to 2022. Wow, lots of experience in gardening. She has retired. She's a retired hotel corporate sales director for Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton Hotels in Houston. And she's married, been married for 35 years, has 3 children and 2 grandchildren. Congratulations.
One more year on the marriage. That was last year. Okay, so it's great to see everybody's faces. I see some returning people. This is a really information-filled presentation. So I'm going to slide through some of these slides quicker than the others. But if you have interest, feel free on the spot to ask the question. You do not have to wait till the end of the presentation. Also, if you want to, though it's not really prepared for winter gardens yet, you're more than welcome to come and look at our vegetable garden, which still has the end of summer things growing. But there won't be anybody out there to identify things for you. You'll be doing that on your own. So I'd like to start out because a lot of people that I talk to phone and other presentations say, oh, I've got such a brown thumb, I can't grow anything. Anything inside the house dies right away. I'd like to say that everybody can grow. There are going to be mistakes, that's part of it. So basically think of it as you're temporarily an unsuccessful gardener. You are not forever unsuccessful gardener. You just got to keep practicing. And one of the ways we go into that is by doing shows, talks like this, because you want to set yourself up for success. The most important thing in the garden is your soil. So if you can get the best, amend it the best, however you want to do it, and you just roll from there. So let's begin. Okay. Who, what, where, who? Can you all hear me when this is not here? Okay. So, who, what, when, where, and why. This is what you want to think about. All your garden considerations, soil irrigation, what time of year you want to plant. I personally think this is the best time of year because when you start harvesting, it's going to be cool. And less insects. Also, that can translate into less diseases, pathogens that will hurt your plants. Who's working the garden? Is it going to be yourself? Got knee problems? Got hip problems? Your grandchildren? I'm all into Tom Sawyer and weed pulling. Just get those little munchkins that are close to the ground and pull. At times we have had, maybe through some other lectures on how to can. So, don't grow 6, 9, 12 tomato plants unless you plan on doing something along that line, or you have a lot of friends. And then the space is available. The only thing I really kind of would suggest on your spacing, what I mean by that is the size of your beds. Try to do them at least 4 feet wide. Reason being, the less compaction on the soil, the better it is for the roots. But usually everybody has about a 2 foot arm length. So you go on one side and you go the other side. You can go wider, but then you may have to take up some of that space with, you know, stones that you can walk on. And that kind of goes into the analyzing of your space. You want to make sure there's plenty of sun. You can always put a shade protector up if you need to. That's not going to be an issue in the fall garden. Also, one of the other things you want to think of is how you're going to water. I use a drip hose, but if you want to do sprinklers, hand water, whatever. I just prefer something in the water when it comes to water that's closer to the ground because that cuts down on evaporation. Even better if you harvest rainwater, because then you're just getting it from God and recycling it. Does anybody else need to read that? And feel free to take pictures if you want to take a picture of the screen. So, before we begin, or as in now, one of the most important things to start doing is have a soil test. Now this is regardless if you had a spring, summer garden, or if you're starting out for the first time. Have that test done. It's very easy. Texas A&M has got a great program where you can look it up online, get a pamphlet, or just get a sheet of paper and tell them what you want. I recommend just the basic. I think it's about $12. And you go through your garden, 6 different spots, mix it together, and ship it off to them. At the Fort Bend Hotline Help Desk, we offer those and we can mail that form to you. Usually what you're going to find out with the soil in this area is that we're going to be low on nitrogen. That happens with soil that has a lot of clay in it. And then you can see these amendments that you can add to it, and they'll tell you how much you need to add for the size of your garden. And here's an example. This is the bottom one is what you're going to get. And it'll tell you right here where it says 1,000 square feet, the lower right-hand corner. When you tell them that you've got, say, a 4 by 6, that's 24 square feet, they'll let you know how much you need to put in. And then mulching, lots of different ways to mulch. One of the confusing ones in that lower right-hand corner, you don't really want to use hay. You want to use straw. Reason being is that straw, when you cut hay, you're cutting the weeds with it too. So they dry out, the seeds stay dormant, you put it on top of your bed, and guess what else is growing? Weeds. And you've been watering them. So the benefits of mulching is going to be water retention. That's the main one. But it also works in keeping the roots of the plants cooler, or in the case of winter, keeping them warmer. And then the types of mulch really is up to you and what you want to spend. I usually just use compost, but pine bark mulch is awesome. A lot of people have asked me about pine needles. Yes, they are acidic. No, they will not hurt your garden because it'll take about 100 years of mulching with pine needles to raise the acidity of your soil. So, any of these are great. Once again, the grass clippings, it pretty much says it there. If you use a lot of herbicides and such on that, you're going to, not going to be the healthiest of mulches. And then cover crops. I think this is really more for large scale. I don't really do that in my garden because I'm gardening throughout the year, summer. And then the other great thing about fall gardening is it goes a lot longer. I mean, you can grow broccoli all the way to like February or March. Now, this is repetitive planting, but it's still cool enough. I actually think they taste better when they have a little bit of frost on them. So, I just can't say enough about fall gardening. I think it's easier, it's fun. Put a jacket on come November. And then the water sources, we've kind of already covered that a little bit. I'm getting into rain harvesting just because I'm seeing after these last 2 weeks, including Beryl, of constant rain. So most people who do rainwater harvesting already have full tanks. And to be clear, This is rainwater harvesting, well, not necessarily this one, but when you just put a bucket out there, it's rainwater harvesting to use on your plants. There's a whole nother operation, same principles, if you want to capture water to use in the house, but there's a whole filtration system, purification system that you'll have to invest in. Oh, sorry, sound effects. Okay, so this is a pretty good rule of thumb. It's 1 inch per week. I think it works better on your lawn, but you definitely need to do it in your vegetable garden. And this will also include your rain. So a rain gauge is handy. You may have to do some extra water come, July, August, early September. Drip irrigation is one of the great ways. It's very easy to install. You can get it, do it yourself at Lowe's or any of the big box stores. Probably not going to see it much in your nurseries just because of your smaller nurseries such as Enchanted or Ace Hardware, Southwest Fertilizer, just because, they're pretty big. But I've used this before and it works great. And this is an example. I've done this stock, I think this might be my 3rd year, but I've also done it with Steve Hicks. So a lot of these scenes are going to be from his garden, which I would really consider more farming. It's big and it's beautiful. So if you have a problem drawing a straight line when you lay your drip irrigation, that'll help you with your lines. So this is a calendar, if you want to take a picture of it, of kind of when to plant fall gardens. You need to make a decision if you're going to do seed or transplants. If you're doing seeds, you're going to need to start pretty soon. Usually when you go to a nursery and buy transplants, they've already got anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks of growth already on you. So take that into consideration as you plant and know when to expect your harvest. For instance, you do a radish. It's pretty much ready to harvest in about a month. Do a jack-o'-lantern style of planting, you should have started in June. Because they take 4 months, and then you've got to give them a drying and hardening off period. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're a beginning gardener. Yes?
Is that chart available somewhere online or?
Yes. You can find them in many places. And one of them would be with the Texas A&M. So you would go to like agrilife.tamu.edu. And you may have to kind of go through and find the calendar.
The yellow, can you give a breakdown starting out on this yellow? What is on the plants you got some highlighted in yellow? What does that mean?
Those are going to be your fall garden. So think anything cruciferous, which is a large category. That'd be your cauliflower, broccoli. Let's see.
The ones that are not highlighted are not fall?
Correct.
Okay.
But they still may be growing right now.
Okay.
Because I have to say, it's pretty tough to talk about fall gardening when it's a feel-like temperature of 110 later today.
And the red and the green, the red is marginal, is that correct?
Yeah, that's just kind of start now, may work, may not.
And the green is.
And then the green's going to be, this is the best time to plant that particular vegetable. And these colors may change with other websites, but it'll be about the same thing. And then in this chart it is seeds, unless otherwise noted. And that would be the case that you would have to start the seed with like root vegetables.
I'm sorry, did you say this chart is for seeds?
Yes, unless otherwise noted.
Where would it be noted?
There'll probably be an asterisk. Let's see. I don't see it on this one, but in general, anything that's a root vegetable turnips, beets, rutabagas, anything that grows with what you're eating underground. And the reason is that you can't grow these in a greenhouse, in a nursery, because when you bump it up to a larger pot, it usually disturbs that root. Do y'all know what I'm talking about when I say the root on root? Like a beet, you know how okay.
I just Googled Fort Bend vegetable garden plant guide and it pulled that exact slide up. Fort Bend vegetable plant guide.
Also, everything is being recorded, and each of you will be getting a copy of the recording from this class. So you'll have all these slides.
Yeah, so make sure that you've got your email on that, because that's how you'll get that recording. Does anybody else have no question is silly or stupid, so I'm game for whatever, just blow it at me, I can do it. Joe, was like, you're raising your hand? Okay, so, as I said earlier, Steve and I have worked on this. Now, he's an engineer. This is from his personal file of how to record what he's planted, when it grew, how much rain. It's a lot. Does anybody really want to spend more time? Okay. So this would be a good thing to take a picture of if you did have some extra time, because we can't cover every aspect in here. But I will say about Brussels sprouts, because the first time I grew it, let me take that back. The first time I saw it on a plant was at Whole Foods, and it was the whole stalk of the Brussels sprouts. And then you clip from the bottom as you use it. So it can last a long time. And once again, it's in the cruciferous family, so it loves a little frost on it. Now, I think this is a great deal, because if you've got the space, whether it's in one bed or whether you have several, try and move your plants around. Like, don't keep putting your tomatoes in the same area. Move them maybe to the other side. And it's a whole nother lecture, but when it comes to certain plants do much better with other plants and herbs.
Just to add on to this a little bit more information. There are certain
You gotta keep it short.
Yeah, the certain plant groups in the Solanaceous family: tomatoes, peppers, eggplant.
Nightshade.
Yeah, those have deep roots and those have common soil pathogens. So that's another reason when you're rotating, don't put your tomatoes where you put your eggplant the previous year and so on. Keep those rotating. Put those where you plant your tomatoes where you had your cruciferous ones, or a different
Yeah,
plant.
a very good point. Did everybody understand that? It was kind of along the same line. Move them around, but try to keep the same plants as you see here within near each other. They're stronger together. And that doesn't show here so much, but herbs are also that way. Why do you think of cucumbers taste like dill once they're pickled? Because dill does very well with cucumbers. It keeps certain bugs off that love cucumbers but can't stand the smell of dill. So that's a whole other, companion planting. Thank you. So this is kind of just a redo, maybe a little bit more scientific, of the rotation. So this can be one bed, or it can be, for instance, 4 different beds. Yes?
When you rotate, do you want to rotate annually, or do you want to rotate like in the middle of the year? So if you fix your beans in one area, do you want to plant something else in the same year, or you want to do that kind of annually?
It would be more seasonally,
Okay.
because of just the different things that grow at different times. So this is our old, this is Boone Holiday. He was our county agent and has moved to the Galveston area. So he's going into seeds. We're going to kind of skip this area. because I think it's self-explanatory, we've already covered that. When you look on your seeds on the back of the packet, it'll give you your harvest dates, germination, and a very simple way of taking care of it. Another great thing to take a picture of, because if you're looking for your seeds, especially organic seeds.
Can you go back, please? Thank you.
Sure. Everybody got it? Okay. Does anybody have a question, seeds, while we're doing the photo shoot?
Is that the way we can get it slide? I'm not sure.
Say it again?
Is that the way we can get it slide?
Can we
get the slide?
Get the slide?
The PowerPoint is so large that we actually can't mail that out, but that's why we're doing the video. You could actually stop the video at any one point and see the slide that way, okay?
I mean, another reason that I kind of like these seed catalogs, that because they give you so much more than what you can normally, more options, choices. For instance, I think it's the Vietnamese long green bean. They grow up to about 2.5, 3 feet long. It's like a noodle. You want to harvest it at 18 inches because it's still sweeter. But if you're saving seeds, let it grow all the way to, but it's great to see. It looks like Medusa's hair. Some serious dreadlocks. So sometimes between this one and the USDA, you can get confused. Most things are going to be zoned out by USDA. But within Texas, we've got 5 zones. We fall more into the 3 purple zone. And that's just a planting and harvesting. It's based on hardiness, so how cold it will get and things like that. So on your transplants, it says Enchanted Gardens, there, but Enchanted Forest is also part of that. This was 2 years ago when we had the fall sale, so it's changing. It'll probably be in October for when we do our fall vegetable herb sale. Okay, so the choice of whether you're going to start your own seeds or not. Once again, as I said, I do not recommend starting your root vegetables. Well, first of all, you're probably not going to find them as a transplant. If you do, so I would recommend starting from seed in this area. And also there's some of these things, like radishes. It's a one-hit wonder. When I first planted my first radish, I don't know, 20 years ago, I thought I'd done something wrong because there's only one radish, one plant. I thought it came in a bunch. So, yeah, that really, I didn't know, live and learn. I was like, what a waste. One? No, I planted several, so it came out that I got 12, but whatever. So, know that you can do, there's a word for it, it's escaping me right now, but you basically like broccoli. Plant it, grow it, start another one, say, week 10 days after you plant that first seed, so that you have a constant supply. For those of you who really love broccoli. When you plant from seed, I do recommend that you have some sort of a grow light program inside the house, because you're going to be using a very loose soil to help the seeds germinate and send out their little roots. I'll be right there. So that will go away with raindrops. It'll pounce on it, blow the soil out. So somewhere where you can protect it from rain. Yes, sir?
What other vegetables do you need to have that process for? Like everything?
Oh, let's see. Well, radishes, broccoli, green beans, cauliflower, carrots not so much, just because it takes them a while. There's several more. I'll meet with you after this lecture. That's a good point to put up here. And then one of the questions that I asked or was thinking about when I was first starting out is, why do you have to keep bumping up from seeds? Why do you start small and end up in a 1 gallon pot? Why don't you just start in the 1 gallon pot? There's two reasons for that. One, it cuts down on the possibility of weeds. Two, you don't need to water a whole 1 gallon pot for an eighth of the size of a seed. So the smaller the pot, and then this way, you can keep improving the soil, because remember, when you start from seed, you're in a very, not sterile, but it's a very loose soil. And there's some great links for any other further updates if you'd like some. So we're going to start with a very easy calendar of when to plant certain things. So on the potatoes, depending on the size of your garden, I do potatoes just because it's easier in a collapsible large pot. You can get these anywhere. And I say that because once you get all the soil in it, it's easy to kind of fold down one side, check to see how the potatoes are growing, and put it back up. Also, you're constantly kind of adding soil as the leaves grow. Green beans, particularly snap peas, versus string beans, is great at this time of year. Edible pod peas, edamame, something like that. And then your fall squashes.
On collapsible pots, are you talking about those cloth pots that you can buy online?
Yeah, I think I bought mine at one of the, I don't know where I bought mine, but yeah, it's usually black and it just folds all up on itself.
Amazon has them at really low prices.
Yeah,
They last forever. They're outstanding.
Mine's lasted.
They're easy to store later on too.
Yeah, all of those are pluses as to why I did it. You can use it for other things besides potatoes. You can grow anything in it. The more soil you put in it, the stiffer the size becomes. So potatoes are so much fun. We don't have them in this picture. There'll be another one. They're fun with onions because you really don't have onions are even less care. I just love them. So you've got, all kinds of what you want. So if you do want to grow some, I would say go to somewhere that has organic potatoes, because regular potatoes have been sprayed to last through the trucking and the refrigeration to get from where it's coming to us. So when you use organic tomatoes, they have not been sprayed. You may have not eaten it quick enough, and you see some eyes growing on the potatoes. That's what you want to plant. You want to plant it up and plant that eye. So one potato could have several plants on it. You see kind of how they just look green. You just keep building the soil up around it. So start flat, and as you start building it up. That's why I think a pot, this crushable pot that I'm talking about, is easier. And then here are your snap peas. It's only a bush type. It's not a vine kind. So that works great in small gardens. And just to know that once they start growing, you're probably going to be out there every day harvesting. They come on quickly. And then lima beans, pretty much the same. So as you can see, we're starting this in August because you're going to have time to prep your beds, do a soil test. If you're starting from the beginning, building it. So most of the fall gardening will start at the end of August or in September. And then fall squashes, that's a lot out there. So the yellow squash is still good. Zucchini, maybe. That's kind of that area that feels like it might work, it may not. Just, try it out. But if you planted one in the spring, summer, you probably have plenty already. So, because they really do produce if you don't get the dreaded vine borer beetle. And then here we go with the edible pods. And you see how long that growing period is? And if you want to do September, they grow all the way till January.
These are the ones that they call the sugar snap. type.
Sugar snap, yeah, I also throw edamames in there.
Yeah, those are, I think, aren't the edamame, aren't those soybeans?
Yeah, they are.
Very good.
So this is Steve's grandson, just showing you, because most people think of strawberries just, you know, in the spring, but if you plant them now, they'll get all situated and then put on a great harvest come the spring. I mean, AgriLife, here it says on, you know, we have 44 pages of information on strawberries. So, that's our only non-vegetable, just because we start planting it now in late fall. Okay, so once again, it's highlighted just for fertilizer, which can come in blood meal. I am not a big fan of blood meal if you have any problem with critters, squirrels, rats, mice, armadillos, because they smell it and they'll dig up your plant. And then one of our favorite fall vegetables, just because it grows so long. And once again, it's one of the ones where you can kind of do a leapfrog. Plant one set, however many you want to plant, and then do it again in about 2 weeks. And you will just have a constant broccoli harvest until January, February. And in this, even though it's not really a broccoli, but if you are familiar with broccolini, it kind of looks the same, a little bit different, but the same thing applies. Now the trick with broccoli is you want to harvest it before the tree, the leaf part, pops open with a little yellow flower. You want to get it while the whole broccoli is still little green balls, as we tell our children, leaves versus the trunk. And then you've got lots of fun, different colors. So if you have somebody, usually children, well, no, don't take that back. There's a lot of male adults out there that don't like broccoli. Here you can do some colors. And they will bleach out a little bit. The purple will turn a little bit more pink. The yellow stays about the same. But they have their own extra little vitamin punch in there. So it's just a fun way to trick some people into eating it. Cabbages, that I have grown bok choy, and I put, I don't know, maybe 6, 8. I had one, I couldn't put my arm around it. I had to take a picture because it was so big. So, plant for who's going to be eating. Brussels sprouts, once again, I can't tell you how many numbers you're going to get on one stalk, but it's a lot. So if you've got a really good recipe, I'd like to have it. I'm still working on my palette for Brussels sprouts. If I've got enough sauce on it, I love them. But that kind of takes away from the healthiness of it. Jade Cross is what I use. I've never tried the Tasty Nugget, haven't come across that one yet.
Excuse me. What does it mean to top the plant?
You won't really be doing that with vegetables. That really comes more into play with when you're saying topping it off.
Well, I was looking at the previous point, it said top the plant. To produce many sprouts at once.
Okay, thank you. And with Brussels sprouts, because it grows all off of one trunk versus, you know, lots of branches coming out of leaves or whatever, top it off at about somewhere between around 2.5 feet, and that'll just make it bush out a little bit more and put a little bit more of the little Brussels sprout on the stalk. If you let it grow too tall, which it will, then it just spreads out where the little Brussels sprouts grow.
So you just cut the top off?
Yeah, but wait till it gets to about 2.5, 3 feet. When it gets right about the tennis net,
And how much do you take off?
whatever's above that space. But at 2.5 feet to 3 feet, whatever's above it, That's where you lop it off. Does that make sense?
No. If you're saying wait till the plant's 2.5 to 3 feet, how much do you take off of that 2.5?
Whatever's above the 2.5 feet.
You don't wait until 2.5 to 3 feet.
Oh, because it's gonna keep growing. So if you wanna wait to 3 feet, yeah,
Wait till it gets taller.
yeah, and you can cut it to 2.5. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
If you don't cut it off, would the Brussels sprouts and stalk just cut it over?
Yes, and it'll get heavy. But I'll have to say that the Brussels sprout vegetable itself is close to the trunk, so it's not like out on some branch that'll pull it. No, it's not like a tomato that'll weigh it down and pull it over. But it will get, I mean, it's got a lot of leaves, so it can start to waller out where it is. Anybody else? Did I explain it very well?
I just did Brussels sprouts, obviously at the wrong time, but I did get some. And to explain how they grow, if you've never seen it, it almost looks like a leaf or a branch coming out of the stalk. But it doesn't get like a leaf, it just turns into a ball. And so it's got all these little balls, and then it has some leaves. Those are the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah,
So I think if you top it off, those things probably get bigger themselves too.
they will. They'll grow bigger and they'll grow more, they'll have less distance between them. They'll start really crowding each other. The only place where I've seen it, where it was on, see how tight these are? Yeah, so if you just let it grow naturally, that will have more space. So you're gonna get more Brussels sprouts if you keep it trimmed.
Are the tasty nuggets a smaller Brussels sprout?
I don't know, I've never had that choice. I just always bought the J. Remember, I'm still working on my flavor scale. I did this for my husband. Yeah. Kind of the same applies. I finally stopped doing okra because he wasn't harvesting it. I'll turn it into Christmas tree ornaments, dry them out. So carrots. The main thing with carrots is that you really have to, so I grow them outside of my garden. They have to have very fine, not fine, but the roots, it can't be blocked. If you have any rocks or clods or stone, pebbles, whatever, it needs to just have a straight shot. Now, if you've ever seen weird pictures or seen pictures of weird carrots, that's because it might have hit a rock and then they split. So if you want to just grow regular straight carrots, give them plenty of room, about 18 inches, depending on your variety. There are some carrots that are balls, and those are kind of fun. But it's a root vegetable, so it needs to start by seed. And so once again, as we talked earlier, was the direct seed on the beets. If you choose to use those seed catalogs that were earlier on the screen, you're going to see a lot of different colors of beets and carrots, different sizes. And it's kind of fun. If you're just starting out, stay with what you know or what you've learned. But if you have mastered it and just want to branch out, there's lots of different varieties within these families. Lettuce loves cool weather, as does arugula, as does spinach. Yes?
I may have missed this earlier, but can you grow all of these vegetables in those collapsible bags?
If you wanted to, yes. Or even terracotta pots, if you bought a tree to be. It's just easier if you do keep things in one bed, so to speak, just because of watering and fertilization. And as you can see, there's lots of lettuces out there. Just know that when you, for instance, romaine, well, I guess it would apply to also iceberg. It's not going to be all nice and tight like it is in the grocery store. It's going to be fuller and leafier. So it's not so much here, but in the spring when you grow celery, once again, I thought it would just go nice and straight, be about 12 inches tall. Nope, it grows out and they're thin little stalks. but the flavor is so much better. And one thing I'd like to say back to spinach is that sometimes you can find it in a tape. Because I mean, the seeds are very little. And the tape is biodegradable, and it's already marked out for the size at maturity. So that's a lot of fun to work with, and is very easy for selling. I think you just put it at about, like a 1/4 of an inch deep. So basically, when I see those kind of measurements, I just grab the soil and then sprinkle it over them, so that you don't see any more of the white tape. But that's a great way to grow a lot of different types of lettuce. Spinach, as we said, is great in the fall. It doesn't have it up here, but don't confuse, we didn't mark it off. So the red Malabar is a type of spinach that it grows in the summer and the spring. It might make it through, but I tell you, buy one, and you won't ever have to buy another one. It reseeds very quickly. So, and spinach will grow in little clumps. When they talk about baby spinach that you see at the grocery store, that's because you harvested early, so that the leaves are still smooth.
Is that red spinach the one that's also sometimes sold as New Zealand spinach? Because I've seen it
I don't
red,
know.
but the ones I got before, it was green, not red. But that's when I was in California, that's what we grew in the summer months as an alternative to classic spinach.
It could be. We sell it here as red stem Malabar, but really the red part that you see are going to be the berries. I mean, it's like the most beautiful shade for a lipstick. But when it drops in the ground, and as the wind blows it around, you will see that popping up everywhere. So, but it's delicious.
It is.
It's listed separately from New Zealand, but I think it's kind of the same family. And you're correct, I've grown New Zealand spinach in the spring. It does well up until, May, June. Whereas most other spinaches won't do well in the spring.
Right.
A variety that I've found that grows all the time, can be grown in shade, is Sozo, Sissoo. And it grows very compact, and it's a spinach. It's a
Yeah.
type of spinach, and yeah, kind of a Brazilian. But anyway, it grows, all kinds of conditions. It's easily propagated. I just go pick little, pieces off, do it every day for putting smoothies so it's not as thick as a Malabar spinach, so you could put it, in a salad, but it's a really, if you get your hands on it, or.
Will you come up to me afterwards, because I'd like to write that down and try it out. I'm always trying to do
Yeah.
experiments.
How do you spell that?
Sissoo, I think.
Is that Sissoo?
Simple spinach.
Yeah. When you look it up,
That's right, Sissoo.
Okay, we're gonna move on, but everybody see this guy in the black with the cool hat?
Yeah.
She's got the spinach connection. So, I don't know how what's your landscape like, but if you do any edible landscaping, this is great, because the rainbow chart, because of all the different colors. You've got red, yellow, orange, and, I don't know, I would say that chard is probably in between spinach and the lettuce taste. It's got a thicker texture. I love it. Black Lights is the one that I've always used, just because I like all the different colors of the stalks. It's great cooked or just whipped up and tossed in a salad. So here we are now with collards, kale, and kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is a root vegetable. It's white. Kind of like a potato, but by the time you put butter on it, it doesn't matter. It tastes fabulous. I mean, I'm all over it. Yeah. Also, it's kind of fun. Well, it doesn't really grow underground. It just has a big taproot. It kind of looks like Jurassic Park. I mean, I just think it's a fun vegetable. And I finally have grandchildren, but they're still too young to use child labor, so I gotta wait a little bit longer before I get them coming in here, but I bet they're gonna love that.
Kohlrabi's really provides a really good crunch in a salad.
Yeah, I
Thin.
mean, it's fun if you wanna try something new.
When can we start planning,
I'm sorry, say that again?
when can we start planning?
When do you start planning this one? I would say probably in September, but that's where the planting chart that was up, or you can look it online. Because it's still kind of new to this part, I mean, of the US. Not super new, but I'm talking about, just everyday consumers, gardeners and stuff like that. So, I think probably one of the easiest things to plant outside of a radish is onions. You just put them in the ground. You'll usually get them in slips, so it looks like a little blade of grass with a white part of it. Like a chive tending to white. You just plant those guys. They're great on borders if you're doing something in your front yard. Wait a few months. Once you start seeing the shoulders of the onions or the leaves start dying and falling over, pop it out. Oh, it is so satisfying if you're irritated with somebody that you've been married to for now 36 years. You just pop that booger out. I think last year I got one onion that tasted great. Because sometimes it's like a zucchini. You get a really big one, it's not going to taste good. Oh, this one was 2.5 to 3 pounds. It was big, that big, loved it. Same thing goes with, your garlic. Don't plant the whole head. Take a clove, and then that's what you plant. And the same thing applies.
Onions, to me, are very easy to grow from seed, and I was told that variety 1015, which was, I think, bred in Texas, is 1015 because you plant it on October the 15th.
There you go.
From seed.
Correct.
Yep. That's exactly right, and it's a sweet onion to start to go with.
Oh.
So leeks are a little bit different. I mean they're the same, but not all of us grow leeks. So if you like to make vichyssoise, grow all the leeks you want. So it's in the allium family, which goes with onions, chives, green onions, garlic. And then we're back to your subterranean. So on these, the leaves are edible, so you're kind of getting a double whammy. Not only the vegetable at the bottom, but then the leaves can also be eaten or cooked.
I have a question. I don't know, are the tops of the turnips the mustard green?
No, it's another plant. And that is just leafy greens. The turnips, the turnips grow not only below, but then you can also
You can eat the
these.
turnip greens like a beetroot.
Yeah. And then here we are with the radish and daikon. Daikon is just a bigger radish, a lot bigger. And once again, you can get these, and some even look like watermelons.
Do those do well here, the watermelon ones?
I don't think they're as easy as the little red ones.
French breakfast.
Yeah. And when I say watermelon, it's not green on the outside and red on the inside. It's kind of red on the outside, but the way on the inside, when you slice it in half, the way that it looks. Same flavor, just bigger. Okay, so that's Boone again. He's actually at Enchanted Gardens, going through my area of the edibles. So a funny thing on that, I had somebody 20-something years old, and they're just like, okay, we're looking for this and that. And I said, well, I handle all edibles, I can help you. And they're like, no way, really? I said, man, that is some serious enthusiasm. And they're like, I didn't think that was legal in Texas yet. Oh, no. Okay, not those kind of edibles. I meant plants that grow, So anyway, that had to kind of clear up my lingo there. But anyway, I just have always remembered that because they were so excited. I was just like, oh my God, yes! I feel this enthusiasm. Yeah.
They're from California, weren't they?
Talking about the wrong animals, yeah. Okay, so herbs, I would say just about. Basil might be the exception. Oregano, a little bit protected, mint anytime. I've never had any luck with lavender in the fall. I've tried. But rosemary, absolutely. And cilantro, yes, which is kind of interesting. It's really the only times you can see it in the grocery store at a decent price is in the summer. Cilantro does not like our summer. It will go to seed very quickly. Cool weather, make sure you have space. It will just grow. It's fabulous. Chives, yes. Oregano, yes. I grow all of these. And when it says peppermint, it's peppermint mint.
Isn't lavender a perennial here?
Well, I know my sister in Dallas who
Yeah.
she has it all the time. Yeah, it's considered a perennial here, but our area has a really hard time with lavender because of the humidity.
It's like strawberries. They're perennial, but not here.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
no,
too
I
hot.
did plant some back in November, and I had some in the spring. But when you think about it,
I think it's
you're taking care of this plant for such a long time before you see any fruit for your labor.
My strawberry plants are still in the ground. They have green leaves on them. They're not producing anything.
So, the success that I've had with lavender, it's all about the humidity. So, mulch it with shells, white aquarium rocks, anything that's reflective, so it can get up on the interior of the plant because it grows pretty tight. And a lot of times, if you have grown any lavender, you'll see that it starts browning probably about halfway up on the inside. So when you water, just water the soil. Think Mediterranean, think the hill country, poor soil, lots of rocks, lots of sun. And I had one lavender, I think it was for 9 years, and it died because a new puppy dog dug it up, not because of natural causes. Dog smelled good, but it got a spanking.
With regards to rosemary, we've now successfully killed 9 of them now. So you all have done it too, great. What is the trick to rosemary?
I just, not a whole lot of water.
Yeah.
Just not a whole lot of water. And I actually plant it in a pot by itself because, so of the herb family, rosemary and lavender are really good friends. They just don't want a lot of water. But since I love them in my cooking so much, they're the 2 plants I don't cuss out when I walk by. Because I think tough love helps a lot of plants, you know. So, and that's a joke. That's not
Do all of these herbs, when they grow like in your pots, like your 6-inch pots, 8-inch pots, or do they need more soil?
The rosemary definitely does, but it will take it along. So if you want to, you can start out in a big pot. Everybody else, yeah, can probably. So when we talk about, because they come in different sizes. When we say 6 inch, it's not only 6 inches across, but it's not necessarily 6 inches deep. So I would try to at least maybe do it in a 12-inch pot, because a lot of those are 12 inches deep. Now, the only one that I would say take special care with, because if you find a spot in your garden where a mint is very happy, grow it in a pot. You can put it in your garden, cut out the bottom of the plastic pot, but because it will send runners. And even doing that, it still sends runners, but they're easy to mitigate.
And keep the flowers pinched off, because they
Yeah.
see them.
So all of us, yeah, when you start seeing flowers on things that you're not eating, get rid of them because that slows down the process of where we just want the leaves of the mint. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, I blew through this a lot faster than I thought, so.
So, no, I was going to comment on what you said. Mint, you can really grow them in 12-inch pots. It is very good. It grows well. It grows tall and it spreads out.
Yeah, and it spreads out and it's just so lovely when you brush up against it. Also, mint, rosemary, lavender. Well, I still have a problem with them, but they're also really good for mosquito deterrents.
What is the best way to harvest, like the herbs? Just
I think the best time, you just literally just clip off the leaves or pinch them off with your nail, however much you need. And I think it's best in the morning. That's when they're the best scent and flavor is. So like if you were gonna make a pot of iced tea for the day, that's when you would put it in. And then, you know, kind of mush it up a little bit to help some of the essential oils get out.
Yeah, it's all about the oils. And so when you harvest younger tissue, you're gonna get a higher
There you go.
oil content.
So you top, you cut the young growth off the top.
Yeah.
So you get more leaves and.
Fish, yeah.
Which ones did you say for mosquitoes?
Rosemary, lavender, and mint. But peppermint in particular. Because there's a lot of mints out there. I mean, you've got pineapple mint, apple mint, wintergreen. There's a lot of different flavors out there. Apple mint in particular is really good in Jamaican food. You'll see that a lot in your jerk recipes. Anybody else? Okay, so this is, if you want to, you can definitely contact us here. That's where we could email you or mail you a soil testing form if you wanted to soil test, which I highly recommend to do for your gardens. And we are now open because I think I'm moving through this a little bit faster. You don't want to see those 2 clips on seeds that I did, I skipped right through.
Lauren, is a QR code on there?
No.
There's no last slide?
Yep.
Interesting.
Is that the survey?
Yeah, the survey QR code's not the last slide. There's not another
I'll
slide
check.
of this?
I don't think so.
Go one more.
Oh,
There we go.
Oops, sorry, newfangled stuff. Okay, take a picture of that and say you loved it. Also, so what was supposed to be an hour and a half, I did it in an hour. So I'm wide open for any questions that don't have necessarily anything to do with winter, fall gardening.
I just want to ask,